Giant bugs in the bed. 1 star.
So over the past month, I visited 3 football-themed hotels across England to test out their worst 1-star reviews. And my only goal is to see if they really are as awful as people say, or if they deserve more than a 1-star rating. But my journey to test out the first 1-star reviews brought me all the way to Norwich.
So I've arrived in Norwich this morning to test out the first 1-star football hotel reviews. I'm staying in the Holiday Inn behind me, but before seeing what this place has in store for me, let's read some reviews. And the first review comes from Bilal, who said, "Room carpet had sticky stain on it, which could be anything. Breakfast was another letdown. My 5-year-old could do better than their chef. 1 star. It kind of sounds like sticky stains in this hotel could be the least of my worries, because the beds sound like some of the worst I've ever heard of." First up, Kel said, "Terrible sleep. Pillows like boulders." Samij also said, "Giant bugs in bed." And Shanahi said, "Terrible beds, horribly bouncy." Not really sure how beds can be horribly bouncy, but I guess we're gonna find out. There is a football match kicking off here right as I check in, and I have booked a pitch view room to hopefully watch it. Although MSN and C did say, "I request a pitch view room and receive a blank wall." I feel like I'm walking towards like a deep Reddit horror story going into this place, but let's check in.
When I got to the entrance of this hotel, the front of it seemed kinda grimy. But after making my way inside, the lobby of this hotel actually surprised me. There was a lot of different Norwich City themed art on the walls of the reception, as well as this sign of where Norwich's stadium is located. Not only this, but there was also a couple football themed items around the hotel, like an old ball and a book about how to watch football. What surprised me the most though, was that there was an actual Starbucks inside the hotel. Once I checked in though, I made my way to my room. And after I cracked open the door, I could finally take a look inside. For £170 a night, this room came with a bed, kettle, door, things, TV, and a view right onto Norwich City's home pitch. But with this giant screen and a pole in front of my view, I was gonna find out pretty quickly that this game wasn't gonna be fun to watch. Besides the view, the room did seem a little rough around the edges at a first glance.
So I just made it to my room, and so far, everything looks pretty okay. They even let me check in 2 hours early, which means I'll make kickoff now. I did book a pitch view room though, but that view is just a bit underwhelming. So there's still 30 minutes till kickoff, but I'm gonna be seeing if this bed can live up to its terrible reviews. So Samish said there was giant bugs in this bed. I'm gonna open it up and see if there's anything there.
Once I pulled the bed sheets back and gave this thing a proper inspection, I was happy to say there was nothing to be seen with more legs than me, which meant this bed passed the first test.
So Shanahi said this bed was terrible and it was horribly bouncy. There's only one way to test this. Oh, I wouldn't even say this is terribly bouncy. It's just a bit springy. So I have one more review to test out about the pillows, but I'm gonna get to that later, because right now, it's time for kickoff.
After the handshakes were complete, the game could finally kick off, where today Norwich City faced off against Derby County.
So the game has just kicked off, and I do have a view of it. It's just not a very good one.
With the giant screen and pole right in front of my view, it made watching this match extremely difficult. The window of my room was also really dirty, which only added to how tough it was to watch this game. But early on, I did see Derby score right outside my window, only for it to be ruled out for offside.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now!
Being next to the away fans did make a great atmosphere though, even if I was in a hotel room. But my view of the game inside wasn't getting any better. And any time the ball went behind this giant blue pole, I couldn't see anything that was going on. And another problem I discovered while watching the game was that anytime the ball went into the far corner, I also couldn't see. But I did get to see Norwich score right outside my window. With just minutes left in the game though, Derby won a penalty. which left the game level up to the end.
So the game has just finished 1-1, and even though it was a good game, it was easily one of the toughest games I've ever watched. With the 2 poles in the way, I couldn't see half of the match. So before I go to bed, Bilal said they found stains around the room, so I'm gonna check this place out.
I searched every centimetre of this room for stains, and even though some of the furniture wasn't looking great, I couldn't find any issue with stains or dirt in this room.
This place is spotless.
So it's time to go to sleep now, but tomorrow I'm gonna be seeing if a 5-year-old could have made breakfast. Good night.
Before I check out today, I'm gonna be seeing if a 5-year-old could have made breakfast. Also, I ended up sleeping really well last night, and these pillows, not like boulders at all.
So with the bed passing all of the tests, I was impressed. But I still had to try out breakfast to see if Bilal's complaints were true.
Alright, that's the wrong button.
When I got to the breakfast room though, this place was pretty stacked out. And if a 5-year-old could have made this, then I'm pretty sure they're gonna be the next Gordon Ramsay.
It's not that bad. So I've come all the way to Blackpool to test out the next 1-star football hotel reviews. I thought Norwich's pitch view room was pretty bad, but apparently this place is next level. Or down a level. Either way, it's pretty bad. The first 1-star review comes from Tom, who I think is just an S-tier hater, because he said, Blackpool is a horrible place. There was also a lot of 1-star reviews complaining about how dirty this place was, with Jan saying, disgusting and smelly. Everything was very old, cranky furniture, dirty and smelly, the food was terrible. Not only this, but Andy Z wrote, we have stayed here from when it opened. This time was definitely the last. Dog poo in the corridor. Cleanliness of communal areas non-existent. So far, it sounds like this place is filthy. Breakfast in this place also sounds like a horror as well, with Athol writing, restaurant is poor, food inedible, toaster hasn't been cleaned in weeks, pastries are stale. But now is my biggest fear with this hotel. The pitch view room. And even though there's a match kicking off here later, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it. Keza_802 wrote, we were not made aware that opening the curtains in our premium pitchside room was not allowed. And finally, G Steel S complained, cancelled room as match on to be told you must close curtains, not watch out of window, why pay for pitch view? Somehow my expectations have never been lower for a hotel, but let's go inside and see if it's as bad as the reviews say it is.
As far as first impressions go, this hotel didn't make the best one. When I walked inside of this place, there wasn't even a lobby, but this sort of halfway room that led to an elevator to get to reception. But there was some old football themed stuff in here, like a signed shirt on the wall, an old turnstile, and also these Blackpool Bears. After checking in though, I could finally see inside my room. And for only £94 a night, this place didn't seem too bad, and had a great view of Blackpool's pitch. But I still had no idea if I was gonna be able to watch the match later.
So I've just checked in, and so far I haven't heard anything about not being able to watch the game later. But first of all, we've got some reviews to test out.
First up, Jan said everything in her room was very old with cranky furniture, as well as being dirty and smelly. And straight away, her review didn't seem to be wrong, with some of the furniture almost ready to fall apart. I also found that most of the furniture in the room had a lot of chunks missing out of it, and also the paint on the walls was looking a little rough too. The couch in my room kinda looked like it might be from the 1990s, and to top it all off, I also found a mystery stain on my carpet. So Jan's review very much lived up to its 1-star rating.
So Andy Z said this place was so dirty, he even found dog poo in the corridor. So we're gonna go check it out.
To do Andy's review justice, I decided to search every corridor in this hotel. And after searching all 3 floors of this place, I I couldn't say that cleanliness was an issue, although I did find a random stain here and there.
So I've checked every corridor, every stairwell, and cleanliness doesn't seem to be an issue. There is 90 minutes till kickoff though, and I'm still really worried I might not be able to watch the game, but now I guess we just wait.
As kickoff got closer, the players started to warm up, and I had a pretty decent view of everything from my room. But as Blackpool came onto the pitch to face off against Rotherham, it seemed like I was in the clear.
The game is about to kick off, and there's literally no sign of anyone telling me to close my curtains. And we're actually watching the match.
So even though Keza and G-Steel-S said they couldn't watch the match, I wasn't having any issues so far.
We're 15 minutes into the game, and I'm still watching it. Nobody's told me to shut my curtains.
I did get a bit of a strange feeling that they might have forgot to tell me I couldn't watch the game though, because when I looked outside at all the other pitch view rooms, they all had their curtains shut. The game in front of me was actually pretty exciting in the first half though, and a lot of chances almost found the goal. But as the second half went on, Rotherham missed the best chance of the match, which meant the game ended 0-0. So while I might have gotten away with watching the game, I don't think Keza and G-Steel-S were lying.
So my first day in Blackpool was just okay. That's about all I can say about this place. Tomorrow I'm still gonna try out breakfast before I check out, but for now, it's good night.
After waking up the next day, the last review I had to test out was Athol's, who said the food was inedible, but there was actually a lot to choose from at breakfast. And the view inside the restaurant wasn't bad either. Once I got my food though, I tried it out. And even though most of it was just okay, the croissant had the texture of a brick.
I just finished breakfast, so now I think it's time that I leave my review of this place. So I've made it to Milton Keynes to test out the final football hotel of the video. So far, the hotels have been a little bit disappointing, but if my stay is anything like Reese's, this could end up being the worst hotel of the video. He said the positive stuff about this hotel was nothing, and the bad stuff, every. Anthony also said, we got a cookie on arrival, and I'd say that was the highlight. Beds were very old and uncomfortable. Impossible to sleep. I'm really hoping I get a cookie too, because I did get a booking confirmation email with this image on it. If I don't get one, I'll be really disappointed. As well as Anthony, Shermati had this to say about this hotel. Room looks dull. Bath panels had scratches. No shampoo or conditioner despite requesting. No bathrobe or slippers in the hotel. The breakfast was not tasty at all. There is a game kicking off in the stadium behind me in less than an hour, but James did leave a review saying, you're advertising a room with a pitch view, but block it off. So yet again, I have no idea if I'm able to watch the match, but let's go find out.
When I walked inside the lobby of this hotel, there wasn't a whole lot to do with football in it, but there was this giant artwork of Dele Alli, as well as a cabinet of MK Don's trophies from over the years. Once I checked in and got my key, as well as my cookie, I made my way to my room. And in the corridors, this hotel also had photos of Stadium MK being built. But after I got to my room, I could look inside. And just outside my window, MK Dons just kicked off against Colchester United. As well as the pitch view, this room had a TV, chair, bed, and a kettle, as well as some water in the fridge. And for £150 a night, this room was nice, but it was pretty basic.
So I've just arrived in my room and MK Dons have just kicked off outside my window.
Unfortunately, the pitch view in this room kinda sucked. I couldn't open the doors of my room to get out to the seats, and anytime the ball was on the left-hand side of the pitch, I couldn't see anything that was going on. Also, unlike the other two pitch view rooms where I could sit down and watch the match, I couldn't see the pitch from my seat in this hotel.
So if I want to watch any of this match, I'm just going to have to stand here for the next 90 minutes. The cookie reception gave me is really good, but the pitch view is probably the worst we have yet.
Besides having to stand for the first 45 minutes, there were some good moments in the match outside. And after MK Dons defended a corner, the ref called an end to the half. So it's just hit half time, and even though I thought the Norwich game was tough to watch, I think this one is even worse.
So the view from my room was that bad, I've decided to watch the second half of the game from the corridor of the hotel.
My view from the corridor was actually a lot better, and I could finally see the whole pitch. And MK Dons almost found the perfect chance to score. But after conceding a penalty, Colchester had a chance to win the match. After Colchester hung on to the lead for the rest of the game, the match finally ended 1-0.
So the game has just finished up, and even though this has been one of the nicest hotel rooms yet, it was easily the worst football experience. I can't even see the pitch from here. Shermati did have a lot to say about this place though, so let's test her review out. Shermati did say this room looked dull, and I don't think she's that wrong. Next up, Shermati said her bath panels had scratches on them, and while she might have had them, mine looked pretty good.
Shermati also said that she had no shampoo or conditioner, but mine were full.
The second last thing Shermati said was that there was no robes or slippers in this hotel.
I looked in the wardrobe to see if I could find anything, as well as the bathroom, but there was nothing there.
The final thing Shermati mentioned was that breakfast was not tasty at all, but I'm gonna try that out tomorrow.
So right now, it is my last night staying in football hotels, but before I can leave my review on this place, I still have to try out breakfast tomorrow. But for now, it is good night. The next day, I woke up after sleeping really well. But the last thing I had to try out was breakfast. And after making my way to the restaurant, there was a whole lot to choose from. And after trying it out, I could finally see if Shermati's final complaint was true.
On a scale from 1 being not very tasty to 10 being very tasty, I'd give it like a 6.5.
Before checking out, this restaurant had a balcony that looked right out onto the pitch, so I took some time to check it out.
So now that I've tested everything in this hotel out, I think I'm ready to leave my review.
So after testing out 1-star reviews from football hotels all across England, did they deserve their 1-star ratings? Overall, every hotel had their weaknesses, but I also had some great experiences at each one. So while they weren't perfect, I don't think they deserved their 1-star reviews. But if you enjoyed this video, you might like this one too. See ya.